Welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and/or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go. Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits Podcast presents Wicked Ramblings, an entertainment podcast that strives to answer the twisted questions currently burning a bright hole in your dark soul.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Greg?
I'm good, Karen. Good.
You excited about this one? I bet you are.
I am.
This is right up your alley.
I like to drink.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
So what topic are we covering today, Karen?
Well, today we have two guests with us. We have Kristen Kreft and Banatwala. They are the sole owners of Rocktails, an amped up spin on Mixology. And get this, Greg. They're authors, musicians, mixologists, teachers, and entrepreneurs. And today they're here to talk all about rockin' the cocktails.
They need another job. They only got 5 jobs.
Slackers. They should be podcasters.
Yeah. Well, maybe they will after this.
I know. We're going to hook them. We're going to hook them good.
So welcome, Kristen and Maya.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Wonderful.
We're great.
Great.
They're so excited to be on this podcast with us. I just know it.
Really?
Super pumped.
So before we talk to you about drinks and things like that, we're going to just get some background information. So are you ready? I'm going to start with an easy one. Where did you two meet?
We met at a very busy mixology bar, and we worked side by side for several years. And at this bar, we had the liberty to make cocktail menus and completely make them our own and make the theme. And we noticed that we continued to make our theme music related.
And the cool thing about this mixology bar as well is they focused on history. So it was basically craft cocktail bar where you were able to express or kind of teach your customers the history of these cocktails, an old fashioned, a Manhattan, et cetera, et cetera. So when we made our drink menus as the featured bartender or mixologist for the week, that's what Maya was talking about, like our theme. So we had 5 cocktails. We're not just going to make 5 random cocktails. Let's theme them. So our themes were always about music or a musical artist or song lyrics or even dances, just anything that had to do with the music. So each cocktail was curated lovingly, inspired by music.
So you just happened to get jobs at the same bar.
Yeah.
Well, we're actually both musicians. So we originally met each other just through the music scene. Both of our bands have played together several times. So it just made sense that we kept making cocktails, and we want to talk about the history, the base of that craft cocktail, and just throw in some music history as well.
Yeah, a lot of bartenders at the bar where we worked side by side. I mean, our stations were right next to each other too. I mean, I think we chose it that way.
We chose it that way. We made sure because we worked really well
together
next to each other.
Yeah, but a lot of the bartenders there were actually also musicians. So it was just kind of a really cool place.
It was an awesome environment.
Where we could kind of all be musicians together and also have a reverence for cocktails,
mixology.
Creating, being artists, actually being, we're all musicians. We're all, like Erykah Badu says, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Well, that's the same thing. That's how we feel, about our music, about our cocktails. And we were absolutely in good company there.
Did you always try to tie them to like a Cincinnati music history
We
scene?
should say they are from Cincinnati and currently are in Cincinnati.
Yes.
We didn't always connect it to Cincinnati, although we love this music scene. So we definitely had some cocktails that were inspired by Cincinnati musicians.
Yeah, I mean, we started way more broad. Like the whole idea to kind of hone in Cincinnati cocktails was to kind of grab our local audience, our local audience, and educate the people that are right here in our own neighborhoods, just 10 miles away. Just educate people so that they understand how rich in music our area is.
Yeah, I'll bet a lot of people in Cincinnati did not know that James Brown recorded here, right?
I mean, yeah, more than recorded. I mean,
Lonnie Mack. I'm sure people have heard of Lonnie Mack, but they don't know how like local he is, right?
Absolutely.
Correct.
And they need to know. That's why we're here.
I was a music major, by the way, in college. The same.
Oh, what's
Yes.
I played my share of bars around Northern Kentucky and things.
Where did you go to college?
Miami University.
Oh, okay.
And
My sister graduated from Miami.
I'm a drummer.
I am not a musician, so I'm a groupie. I just follow all the musicians around.
all part of it, right?
Yeah, there's that as
Yeah.
well.
You guys need an audience. So
Yeah.
that's me.
Always.
One of my bandmates wrote a song called "Come to My Show." And I love it so much. It's like the cutest thing.
Okay, so I have a unique question here. Who are your taste testers? Was it the patrons at the bar? Were you the big winner? Like they said, okay, this week it's Kristen's week. You come up with one drink per day, and then you just guessed, or did you taste each other's cocktails and say, "Oh, this is good," or "No, ooh, don't do that"?
So each bartender rotated their menu, but being able to be so creative behind the bar and learn all of that history and have so many different ingredients behind there, you're just constantly making new drinks.
Yeah.
And like there's more product coming in, and we went to lots of breweries and distilleries, and there was constant learning and different tastings and everything. So it wasn't necessarily like we sat down and we're like, okay, at least not for me, where I'm going to make this whole cocktail menu. I was just making cocktails all the time.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh, this is really good. Kristen, try this.
Yes.
Is this well-rounded?
Absolutely. Same. Yeah. I mean, that's the way you describe the bar, just full of so many different unique ingredients and constant learning and workshops and classes to learn more. And you really, I think we both did, just kind of rely on our coworkers and, just tasting things and, like, what do you think about this? And just having constructive criticism. I think I still have like in a desk drawer, just receipts, when you you push like tape feed of the receipts, just like, oh, that was so good. Write it down, just like books and stacks of cool.
I have a box full of all my cocktail recipes from because I worked there for 6 years. So there's a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe we should talk about what is mixology. How would you define it?
Well, it's kind of like with most crafts, most things that you're learning. Once you learn the foundation, the rules, you can break them all.
I mean, there are certain rules, so there's the rule that you follow, like the golden rule. There's the 1 part sweet, 1 part citrus, 1 part booze, right? So that's kind of like the ground rule right there.
Okay, so that's a good place to start.
I'm writing that down.
Yes, repeat that again, because I think that's where you would start. That's your baby step, right? If you're going to say, I'm going to make my own craft cocktail for my Halloween party this year, that's what they would do, right? So
Absolutely.
Repeat that slowly and give an example of what each one would be. Okay, like you said, 1 part sweet. What is that?
So you could do 1 part sweet. All right, let's talk about a cocktail called the French 75. 1 part sweet, we're doing sugar, right? 1 part like sour, we're doing lemon. then booze, and then there's gin in that. And then you're adding some champagne to it. So, it kind of expands that. It's a little sweet there. So,
Yeah. So you've got your 1 part sweet, which is your sugar cube, your 1 part citrus,
Which doesn't have to be sweet, right? It sounds like.
Citrus
What?
isn't right.
So sweet. So you want to have an element of sweet. So sometimes the sweet might be a sugar cube. Sometimes the sweet might be simple syrup. Sometimes the sweet might be a sweet vermouth or an amaro.
sometimes it might be like an aperitif, like Aperol, which is still kind of bitter, but there's a sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And when you say 1 part, are they equal parts or those
Not
are
necessarily.
okay? No, those are just kind of your starting points. Like you want to, if you're basic mixology and you're new and you don't have all your training, you mess around with that first.
Yeah. But I will
Yeah.
tell you, we start a lot of times when we start, if we know that we're making a cocktail that's not like a Manhattan style or not an old fashioned style, if we're making like just like a cocktail for an event or something, we'll start with a 1/2 ounce of a simple syrup, a 1/2 ounce of lime, lemon, or grapefruit juice, and then 1.5 ounces of booze. That's
Okay.
the base. For your listeners, like if you want to experiment, that's a really great way to say, okay, I'm going to make this cool. I'm going to make a vanilla simple syrup. I'm going to make a vanilla simple syrup and I'm going to do 1/2 ounce of vanilla and
then a 1/2 ounce of lemon
and then
then
1.5 ounces of like
bourbon.
you know.
You guys can read each other's minds.
It's kind of weird.
They just looked at each other and said bourbon. So they know. Okay, that's great. So that's the basics. And then you said from there,
Yeah.
as you learn, those
So
rules are made to be broken and you kind of experiment with different tastes
Or
and all
embellish
that.
on it.
Embellish on it. I love amp it up.
Oh, yes. Nice.
So like I would add some bitters to that. So
Yeah,
like,
I
you
would
add
add-
some bitters.
Or like a bitter liqueur, you
Yeah.
know?
Of bitters or a bitter liqueur. Then you can experiment with, okay, do
Like
you
a
want-
Campari.
Yeah.
Why not?
I do not like Campari.
But you know what though? So that's the thing that a lot of people they get turned off by, I don't like Campari. Well, that's probably because you took a big old gulp of it one time and you're like, ugh.
There was too much in a mixed drink we did. Yeah.
Yes.
But
yeah.
if if you don't want a Negroni, which is a Campari based cocktail,
You got
there's
Yes.
full of RDA,
yeah.
which is nice because, you can do rye or bourbon, preferably rye.
But going back to the 1/2 ounce of honey, or wait, 1/2 ounce of vanilla is what we said, a 1/2 ounce of lemon, 1.5 of bourbon. So say we did want to add like a Campari to that, we could totally do that. We could add 1/4 of an ounce of Campari to it, right? And then we could top it with an IPA. Think about that. So like I know you like beer, Greg, right?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I could feel an IPA on that. Like
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The flavor profile is right there.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
the IPA, the bitterness of the IPA and the bitterness of the Campari are going to kind of really marry well together, but then it's going to be brightened up with the lemon juice, right?
Yeah.
And depending on the IPA, it might complement the citrus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, this is where we're going. It's so much fun. So
then
you
you
start with the small, and then you start embellishing.
And then you get that sweetness and it's a little bit more full and rounded.
So you have basically a base of what you talked about, your base, and then you kind of add whatever you think would taste good and see if it tastes good, basically, right?
There's so many different ways to go about it. And
One of the reasons I got so into mixology is because I love to cook. So I feel like having, a little bit of cooking knowledge is helpful, but or not. I mean, everybody can learn all the time at their own pace the first time.
yeah, I mean, cooking is like also, if you're a baker, you might also really like this because it's creative, but there's also an element of chemistry to it. So there's an element of formulas and kind of putting things in places like a Manhattan style. So you could take those elements of what we just said, the vanilla simple, the lemon, and the bourbon, and you could put those in all these different categories. If you're a category scientific type of person, you could put it in a Manhattan category and figure out, okay, how am I going to get that sweet that lemon and the bourbon without making it like a shaken cocktail.
Or maybe you change it to orange.
Or change it to orange. Yeah. So I mean, so you could
Or
do
you
the
could change
whole
one thing at a
cocktail.
time and see what you like. And
Right.
then change
Exactly.
something.
You can make it a daisy style, or you can make it a flip or a sour, you know, with adding an egg white or adding a full egg, or, you know, there's so many different variations that you could do with just that one little example that we gave you: vanilla, lemon, bourbon. You could.
It is very scientific.
Yeah.
It's very chemistry driven.
Yeah.
I can see where you'd have to write it down, or
Mhm.
if you forget, especially after you drank it. Oh,
Yes.
this is fantastic. And then you don't remember, what you did.
There was plenty nights where we
Mm.
were behind the bar where I was like, that was amazing. What
was
the
it?
hell did I put in that? Work backwards.
So did you guys go to like bartending schools and things like that? Or
Ew.
no?
No.
Mm-mm.
Self-taught,
Like-
more or less?
Yeah. I mean, I lived in New York for 10 years, and I went to school for music theater, and that's kind of what I thought I was going to do. And I, you know, was pounding the pavement and doing like the 9 million auditions a day. And then,
Yeah, I'm an IT guy, but I was a
Yes.
music major.
yeah. So putting yourself through, it was just like the most money that you could make, right? And putting yourself through, I started as a singing waiter, and then, you know, kind of watched the bar and just kind of elevated just by being in the environment is the best way to learn.
I started bartending because I wanted an excuse to have an open mic. This place had just gotten a new PA that I really liked, and I really wanted to use it. So I got a job there. And
Was it nice and shiny and new
yeah, and so I started
with lots of lights, lots of LED lights that went up and down?
I just wanted to play music. I was like, 5 people could come or 50. All I know is I get to play my instrument and be social, and I like being social.
That's
so-
awesome. That
so
helps
again-
being a bartender.
The whole reason why we're both bartenders revolves around music.
I mean, it's easier to be a bartender and still gig out because you're not, you can get shifts covered.
Or you can audition and work all day long and then go and then work more at night.
Exactly.
You
Awesome.
can pretty much just work 18 hours a day and you're good. Or you're crazy.
The life of a musician.
Before we get into all the music and stuff, we were talking about, and this is how basic I want you to get with us, because our listeners, we combine cocktails
Our
with
listener, Karen.
yes, we
listener.
always say listener, combines cocktails while we're watching movies. So basically we're enjoying a cocktail while we watch a movie. So
For instance, we watched Friday the 13th, right? And we had drank a Friday the 13th cocktail, which was very Campari heavy. And we both hated it.
So
Camp Crystal
how did
Lake.
you find
Oh,
that?
Camp Crystal Lake. Yeah. We just searched the interwebs.
What'd you drink?
What was in it?
That's all we remember is Campari.
No, I can, if only I had all that saved.
Oh,
But well, okay. So like,
Hang on. I can get
how
it.
do you make a simple syrup? So if you were going to make a vanilla simple syrup, how would you do it?
Well, you'd want to take 1 part water, 1 part sugar, and then throw a couple of vanilla beans in there. When I say 1 part, I'm saying, let's say 1 cup water, 1 cup sugar. You'd first put your sugar in there. You would stir it kind of slowly at a pretty high boil until it until it boils off a little bit.
it should be clear.
Exactly. It should be clear. And then you want to put your, do
Yeah.
you start with the vanilla bean?
So the way I do it, yes, I boil
You take
the,
over.
no, I'm doing just what you did. I boil the water, equal parts water and sugar, bring it to a rolling boil. And then by that time it should have clarified. So it'll be clear. At that point, then you put in your vanilla beans, turn down to like medium to low
So
heat.
like low, medium,
Mhm.
somewhere. And then let it simmer.
Let it simmer.
And then just kind of try it for a little while. I mean, I like
For like 10 minutes, half an hour, what?
it's like the intensity of any kind of
Like tea.
dish. Yeah, like tea. Yeah. The longer you steep it, the more strong it's going to be. So I tend to do it for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Or if I really want it intense, I might sit there at the stove for like 30 or 45 minutes.
Yeah. I think it just depends.
So
on
anything you can steep, you can make into a simple syrup.
absolutely.
Yeah. Like I just made a hibiscus ginger simple last week, and that was really fun. And it's a beautiful color.
So pretty.
It was beautiful.
In our first cocktail in our Cincinnati Rocktails book is the James Brown cocktail, and we did a caramel popcorn simple syrup where we actually boiled caramel popcorn into the syrup and strained it. So that was kind of fun. Like you can we did in our first book, we did I think red hots, like a red hot simple syrup.
We did a red hot simple syrup.
Like
we just did, yeah. Well, we didn't do a simple syrup, but we just put candy corn in vodka.
Infused vodka with candy corn.
I've heard of that.
Was it? I've never done that. Was that good?
It's sweet. You know, I like candy corn.
We both like candy corn, so
you know. But yeah, so anything you can steep, you can make simple syrup from.
That is correct.
Okay, cool.
So the Camp Crystal Lake cocktail was 1 ounce Campari, 2 ounces of sparkling wine.
Oh, that's it?
No.
Pretty much that's it. But then you made a blood mixture of honey and red food coloring and kind of rimmed the glass with it.
Oh, I see.
So you are the authors of Rocktails, an amped up spin on mixology, Cincinnati, right? I have the volume 1 book. Karen has 2 books.
Well, the other one I have is the older one.
Oh, is that the older one?
Yeah.
Okay. And actually,
and we are. I know. I'm really mad about this.
Mine is signed.
Mine is not.
Oh,
I know. So when I see
happen?
you will sign my book.
I like that.
So in your book, there's one musician in this book that I feel like I kind of have a personal relationship with. Okay. And that would be H-Bomb Ferguson.
Oh yeah, H-Bomb.
Millions of years ago, I lived in Clifton.
Okay.
And we used to go to Corey's. Me and my roommates used to go to Corey's at least once, probably twice a week, right? We always saw H-Bomb Ferguson, Big Ed Thompson, and I've seen Pigmeat too, Jared.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Richie and the Students, all that kind of stuff. So H-Bomb, you have a drink in here called the H-Bomb.
We do.
So do you meet the musicians? Have you met him? Do you talk to him, or are you inspired by him when you make your cocktail?
Inspired by.
Okay.
Yeah. H-Bomb is passed. So I know a lot of people such as you, Greg, have been able to hang out with him or peripherally even just be at the same room with him or I don't know, maybe out on the street.
I think I've actually strummed Big Ed's guitar because he would just walk around and pull chords with his wireless guitar and put it up to people sitting around the bar and they'd like strum and he'd go,
so cool. Yeah, I mean, to me, this was inspiration of kind of a music legend that I only heard about. You know, like I don't know, did you ever get to see H-Bomb?
I'm old.
They're making you feel old right now.
Would never. No, I used to listen. Like it used to be on the Comet jukebox in Northside. And I used to listen to H-Bomb all the time on that. But, you know, just.
Well, why don't you talk about him, Greg? Was he blues? What is he?
He was a character.
Definitely.
Well, yeah.
Definitely a character.
He always wore like weird wigs.
Yes.
And glasses. He was like missing. He had like one finger was a nub.
Yeah.
Like this. And he was a piano player, which you think that might affect his piano playing. But no, he was really good.
Right. And he had like, he had like a infamous electric keyboard that he would kind of take around with him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We had to put H-Bomb in our book. We had to, because we have so many musician friends that speak lovingly about him and his quirkiness and his wigs and his music and the people that surrounded him and that whole vibe, that whole like Corey's vibe, definitely.
That was great.
And his drink is
tall and kind of loud and in charge. and it's strong because it has vodka and an Amaro, and it has a grapefruit beer, the Stiegel Radler, and of course a big orange slice because we wanted to,
Of his hair.
have his hair
Represented.
fluff up.
A big round orange.
Yeah. He wore a rainbow wig a lot too.
I've seen so many cool wigs, like blue, like bird wigs, and like, oh wait, no, the blue one was like the page boy, kind of like blue page boy cut or something like that.
So again, all of this is from their book, Rocktails, an amped up spin on mixology, which we will put a link in our show notes to
your website. I'll put it to your website.
Yes, please.
And actually, a kind of sad note about H-Bomb and Corey's and what became the Mad Frog, right? I just read in the paper like yesterday that they're tearing it down.
It is gone.
It's gone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was demolished over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yep, it's gone.
Aw.
It's going to be Uptown Rentals.
Of course
Oh,
it
of course
is.
it is.
60 million housing development, Karen.
Of
That's
course.
a bummer.
I'm going to miss that neon whiskey sign on the corner there.
Even I went to Corey's.
Everybody's gonna move in there, and where they're gonna go. That's fun.
Yeah, right.
It's different. I went back there
Panera.
recently for something. I'm like, I didn't even recognize Clifton.
Noodle Shack.
It's completely different.
Oh, it's not the hole in the wall bars that we remember. That's for sure.
Boy, I like to stay in Northside because nothing changes.
Okay, cool. All right. So is there any other musical thing you want to do, Greg?
Not at the moment. I just had to bring up H-Bomb and
Okay.
Corey's.
So I will ask you this. So you said you're inspired by the music when you come up with the drinks. Did you, because they're all Cincinnati artists in your book, did you
Or
Google-
artists that recorded here or whatever.
Yes, have a connection.
Study connection.
Did you Google it, or did you just talk to friends, or how did you come up with the artists?
We even talking
to
about
be-
like Hank Williams, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All of the above.
Yeah.
We read lots of articles. We talked to people that we knew in the community.
I grew up in the recording industry here in Cincinnati specifically. My dad worked at the fraternity label at Counterpart Studios. So I grew up with this wealth of knowledge. And every time we would drive past King Records, on the highway, my dad would point it out, make sure that I know the historical reference. And
That's where James Brown recorded, right?
yes, it's a big deal. It's always been a big deal. So I actually, the only person in this book really maybe that I did meet Rusty York, who we were going to talk about today. But I did meet Rusty York. He had his recording studio was in Mount Healthy, where your family lives. So, but yes, we're since we're all musicians, we have plenty of friends that didn't know a lot of these people or knew of them, or it's just important.
Yeah.
My
So
daughter is named after Nina Simone, who is in our book, and she's the last. She's the reason why we have 31 artists and not 30. Because we found out at like 2:00 in the morning, right before we were about to send this out to the editor, that she had a Cincinnati connection, and it blew our minds and made me so happy.
Kristen's connection to Cincinnati and the history and her background is like really incredible. So it's really awesome to work with her on all of this.
okay, so there's your segue. Who were you going to talk about today?
Well, we were going to talk about from our book.
Yes.
We were
So
going to
to explain the format of your book. What do you do in the book? Do you have a brief bio of the artist, and then, or what the Cincinnati connection is, or explain the way you set up your book, and then talk about who you wanted to talk about.
So we start with an illustration by a local artist by the name of Dylan Spieg, and who's also one of my bandmates, and he's amazing. And so we start with that, and then we have their history. We have a brief history of how they began and how they evolved, and we like to put in some fun facts in there. And then at the bottom of the second page, there is a Cincinnati. We tell you what their Cincinnati connection is, and then of course, the cocktail that's inspired by something about them or their history or their music. And we explain exactly how you make that cocktail as well.
And it has a picture of the cocktail.
And it has a picture of the cocktail. So you know what it should look like.
Yeah.
It's a really cool, graphically styled book. It really is
And
eye-catching. And
I would love to shout out the artist who designed our book. Her name is Jenny Jenkins Moore. And she goes by Renegade Babe. And she and Dylan made our book look just absolutely stunning. And Angie Lipscomb also did the photography. We should definitely, she made our cocktails look beautiful. So yeah, the book itself is just, I love it. I mean, it's just that's
a good thing that you love your own book. Yes.
It's beautiful. And we worked with some amazing people to bring this to fruition.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you pick one of the artists and tell us about them?
Okay, cool. So I guess we'll start with Rusty York. He's one of the cocktails that we actually wanted to talk about because it's kind of like a fall autumn inspired cocktail. And as we were saying before, he's the only person in the book, I think, I'm not sure, but I might have met other people, but that one of us has actually talked to, met, been in the same room with. So Rusty York. So Rusty was born in Kentucky. And he moved to downtown OTR when he was about 17. His given name was Charles Edward York. The way he achieved his stage name was his sister gifted him a guitar. And on that guitar, it was scratched, just kind of scrawled in there, Rusty. Like that was the name of the guitar. And that's where his stage name came from, Rusty York. He played bluegrass music to the point where he loved rock and roll, and
it led him to this rockabilly sound. And I love this because, we have a rich bluegrass history and rock and roll history in Cincinnati. So him combining that, which is very common in Cincinnati, was a beautiful theme. He recorded his big hit Sugary at Keene Records. And eventually he created Jewel Records, another Cincinnati-based record company. And it operated right until the early 2000s. So it was prevalent for a long time. He was actually got into the Rockabilly Hall of Fame in 1998, which is in Tennessee.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
So you named the cocktail after his hit record.
Sugary. Yes. And we also have fun quotes actually for each artist. And Rusty's quote at the beginning was by his wife. He could have told people that he could play any tune in any style, but he never bragged about it. He just did it.
Nice.
So cool.
I think that's super sweet. And what I do remember of him, he was my dad had a, somewhat business relationship with him. I do remember him being very humble and quiet. I do remember walking into the studio and just kind of feeling at home.
It's interesting that a lot of artists seem to be very quiet and reserved, and then they get out on stage and bam, it's a whole different personality. Are you guys like that?
I am.
I'm a social person and love to be on stage and in front of people, but I also really love to be home and quiet with my little old dogs.
Yeah, I definitely, I explain myself as an introverted extrovert. And there's a reason why I love to perform and be behind a bar and be on a stage, be in the front of a classroom, because there's a barrier between me and the rest of the world. If I'm at a party or I don't know, I really like to have a task. Even a family event, if I'm at a family event or something, I will always be in the kitchen, making the drinks, or go figure, or doing the dishes, or
providing a service or entertainment, or just being useful.
Mm-hmm. You can put on a persona as well. Like there's a certain amount of, you go on stage and you can just become a person.
And we love costumes. I love costumes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of my band's themes every show to a costume. We're doing Blink soon, so we are gonna be lit up.
Literally.
Talk about LED lights, Greg. There you go. Okay, so tell us about the drink that you did for Rusty York. because it's a nice fall cocktail. And if anybody wants to follow along, they can write it down while you talk. So tell them what it is and how to make it.
So real quick, we like to include local spirits and distilleries, breweries. So we included 2 ounces of New Riff bourbon, which is located in Newport, Kentucky, just right across the bridge. And then we did 1/2 ounce of allspice dram, which is this awesome liqueur.
What's a dram? Tell what it's.
Okay.
Just,
All right.
see, you got to go real basic.
Okay. So we did the bourbon and then allspice dram. So basically the allspice dram, it's a liqueur that's been made by infusing pot stilled Jamaican rum with pimento berries. And people actually think that allspice is a mixture of spices blended together, but it's really just the dried berries of the pimento tree, which is native to the Gulf of Mexico or the like Caribbean areas. So if you think about like jerk dishes, like that's that kind of spice or Mexican mole sauce. So allspice is it's a prevalent layer that you'll note in all of those kind of jerk seasonings and mole seasonings. It was originally called pimento by the natives of the Gulf and the Caribbean, but in the 1500s, when the British explorers discovered it for themselves, they decided it was like cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg all rolled into one. So they called it allspice. So it's kind of like like the white people version is like allspice. Can I say that? I mean,
yes. So you can purchase this in a store.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, it'll be either allspice dram or pimento dram. Yeah. And also just to note, like the dram was also used in a lot of tiki cocktails, obviously because of its history, right?
Yes.
So it's to be used in small, very careful amounts. You don't need a bunch of it. That's why we have just a 1/2 ounce of it.
Is it because it's spicy?
It's intense. It's an intense flavor. You
Intense.
want it to balance out with the rest of the ingredients.
Mm-hmm. Or also it'll overpower. Also, it'll have you just put like cinnamon or nutmeg on your tongue?
No, we did not do the cinnamon challenge.
It
burns. Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't taken a nutmeg and grated it on your tongue, then
you're not living.
You're not. Little risk, little spice.
Write that down, Greg. We got to do that.
I'm going to do that tonight.
Okay. So we have the New Riff bourbon, the allspice dram, and then
we have a vanilla simple syrup, which we kind of got into earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we also have a seasonal beer called the Mad Tree Rubus Cacao. As much as we love to do the distilleries, Mad Tree is a local brewery. And then we ground nutmeg on top.
But Mad Trees, they've spread out quite a bit.
Absolutely.
And actually,
I know you can get it as far as Boston now, I think.
Yeah, they're continuously growing, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And actually the beer that is in our book, the cacao, is seasonal and not always available. So we thought up some other options for your listeners that if they did want to make this cocktail, they could use also a couple of different local ideas we had were the Mad Tree Pumpkin. So the pumpkin ale would be really, really great with that. It has cinnamon, nutmeg, and molasses.
And then there's the S'more Gratitude, which is a stout. It's got lots of chocolate, vanilla notes to it. It's really rich, kind of deep.
Yeah.
Is that a Mad Tree as well or no?
Correct.
Yeah. So actually, we can tell you exactly, I think, when they come out.
So the
probably comes out in July.
October.
No. The pumpkin.
Right in the middle of the summer, correct?
I think one does come out. One comes out in October.
That says October.
One comes out. I think they both come out in October.
They both come out in October.
Well, good for them. They're not crazy. I like Mad Tree.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg. So how do you finish making the drink?
Okay. So basically, when we were talking about before how you make it.
We didn't add, there's also pumpkin seeds that sit on top of a dried lemon.
Do you roast them first or just put them on top?
No, we do the pepita. So we do the raw pumpkin seeds, and then we dry a lemon, which you can do. You can put in dehydrator. You want to do that for overnight, and then you've got a nice dried lemon to pop on top of your cocktail.
And that adds flavor.
Absolutely.
Lemon. Okay.
Yeah, because when you put it in, so the cool thing about dehydrating, we've been doing a lot of dehydrating lately because we've
been doing a lot of dehydrating.
Yeah,
lately.
making the cocktail infusion kits, and we have a giant.
Oh yeah.
Preparing for this weekend, we have to have
Do
so
you,
much.
do you have the Ronco food dehydrator?
They don't know what that is.
They probably don't. We're old.
No.
I
I'm
don't know,
sorry.
should we?
I
I keep showing my age. We don't talk about ages, and I keep showing it tonight.
I know
so.
nothing about it, but I love to learn. So
It would be like, it was just before cable, we had 3 channels, and on late night TV, they would show things like a food infomercials. They
For like
call
a half
them.
hour,
Yeah. And one would be the Ronco food dehydrator.
And it was like different
Ronco.
circular trays that you could stack up, and
how many? Because I want more.
like a shit ton.
We have about that, but we need at least a shit ton.
Actually,
and
I need a shit ton times 10.
yes, please. Can we just have a room of dehydrating?
Yeah, just like close the door.
Yes, just yes, exactly.
It's so sweet in my house right now because I'm dehydrating strawberries. You walk in, you're like, wow, okay. Okay.
So yeah, okay. So this is how you make this cocktail. It's actually not scary at all. You put your 2 ounces of bourbon,
Your half an ounce of allspice dram,
and a half ounce of vanilla syrup in a mixing glass.
You shake it
with ice,
and then you strain it over a stemless glass into, not over.
So, yeah, so you don't need any ice in your glass. Just a glass. You put that concoction in, then you top it with the beer.
And then you sprinkle grated nutmeg on it, and you float your seeds atop a dried lemon wheel. And you've got yourself
some rockabilly gold.
Nice.
So let's talk about recipes for a minute and wording of recipes.
Wait, before we go to there. So you're floating this lemon piece on your drink, which is adding a little bit of citrus in there. Mm-hmm. What are the pumpkin seeds? Do you want them to fall into the drink, or are they garnish, or what's the pumpkin seed doing?
Presentation.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of presentation, but also it's a nice little snack that goes along with
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, Greg, ask your question now.
So what was the one we just did, Karen? The dark and stormy, right? And I think the instruction said top with ginger beer. Is that right, Karen?
Yes.
Or no?
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm talking about the right thing. So does that mean floated on top?
It would mean filled to the top. So like with a dark and stormy, you fill your glass with ice, and then you put your rum and your ginger and your lime, and then you shake that and you put it over the ice, and then you top it with the ginger beer.
So it mixes together. It's not like dark and stormy, like dark at the bottom.
Always, actually, it does depend on the cocktail. Sometimes it would.
You could make it, the colors change a little bit if you poured it very slowly.
Okay.
Certain liquors are heavier than others, and
So and then before that we did a candy corn cocktail because we did Children of the Corn.
But that did work. Yours didn't,
because I misunderstood. Because it says
sounds like a classic cocktail.
Place a spoon backside up against the inside and pour slowly. And I thought it was supposed to float on top. But Karen says it was supposed to sink to the bottom.
Whatever it was.
What it was. What was it? What was the cocktail? Say it again.
So the candy corn, I'm sure we know there's a lot of recipes for candy corn cocktails, right?
So many out there. It's like,
so we're so first we had the candy corn infused vodka, right?
Okay.
Which is orange.
Yeah.
So in the glass, it's going to look like a piece of candy corn. The first thing you do is
put in orange juice in the martini glass. Then you pour over the spoon the infused candy corn vodka. And then you top with whipped cream. But I thought we were supposed to try to float it, but there ain't no way it was floating. It was sinking.
I don't know why they wanted to.
Because it made a candy corn. So it was light orange, dark orange, and white, or whatever candy corn is.
Well, it depends if it floats. Do you put that float or would it drop?
I mean, the sugar would normally
Wait,
be
just-
heavy. So
Yeah, the vodka went to the bottom
yeah.
of the orange
So-
juice.
It just
and then
says this will create a layered effect. It didn't say floated on top.
It did not create a layered effect, right?
you wouldn't have to use the spoon for that. You could just have poured it.
Right.
in.
That's what I thought. If you wanted it to go to
You
the
would pour
bottom,
it
that's where it's going to go.
slowly on
But
the side.
You
Right.
would, you'd pour it slowly, like real, like flushed up against the side of the
Yeah.
cup.
They just wanted you to
Glass.
take care. That's all. They wanted you to take care.
yes, they were holding
Well,
our
I ended
hand,
up spilling it all over my bar. So,
but it worked fine
because
for
I was
me.
trying to float it on top. I wasn't thinking about it sinking to the bottom.
Right.
Whatever.
Greg just wants you to tell him he was right.
Yeah,
So go
just
ahead and
me
tell
I'm
him,
right.
tell him he was right.
You
Just tell
didn't
me
need the spoon,
They
Greg.
worded that wrong.
Yeah.
Greg,
Yeah.
you didn't need that spoon.
See, there you go. Now you feel better, Greg.
I
Now
do.
let
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, so let's talk about some. It's fall if you're listening soon, and so it's a good time for fall drinks. And you said you had some fall kind of ingredients or recipes. What do you have? You were talking about cider. What do you want to educate us on? Apple cider or all ciders or?
I'm a home brewer as well, just so you know. And I'm thinking of making a hard cider, but it's getting a
Oh,
little
wow.
late. I wanted to be done by Halloween, but I don't think I have time now.
Interesting. Sounds like fun.
That means good luck with that, Greg.
I know. It doesn't matter. I'll have it for Thanksgiving. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Well, actually, you know what? I think you're going to enjoy what we have prepared for you because you will find out that cider is not just for fall, October, whatever.
It's not my first time making. I've made it before, but
Yeah, you
Yes.
you definitely should enjoy it through the entire fall and winter season.
Excellent. So
it won't last that long. Kristen, I'm
Until it's
sorry.
until Thanksgiving, and then you have to stop with everything pumpkin.
Yes. No. Oh my goodness. My daughter loves pumpkin everything so much. Pumpkin, all the pumpkin things.
so tell us all about cider.
Okay. So the cool thing about mulled cider is that it comes from
Mulled
from a earthy and ritualistic origin. It's been
Yes,
used-
that's what we
I
like.
know.
Perfect
I
for
know,
you.
right?
Yeah.
So it's been used to celebrate the coming of colder months for hundreds of years.
Like Samhain.
Like what?
Samhain.
Yes. So anyway, so we really like this story of this drink. The actual origin of it is called the wassail drink. So the wassail drink was made from roasted apples and likely originated in Southwest England.
The drink was a favorite at the Wassail Night festivities, which are kind of a dark and also full of fall expectation, pagan rituals and superstitions that linger weeks after Wassail Night, all the way into the new year, which is why mulled cider is perfect for fall and winter.
See, make your cider now. It's not too late. It's not
No,
too late.
it's never too late. I mean,
Never too late. So we love the story of the wassail bowl. And since it's fall and we're on the Scary Spirits podcast, we would love to talk to you about the autumn pagan ritual of the wassail bowl.
I'm all in already.
Greg's got his pencil and his paper
That's
ready
right.
to go. Okay, so
Hey,
what?
I'm the Halloween house in the neighborhood. So you know.
So let's go to England, where people would get together for like big fall festivals, and they would get together in these local orchards, and every region would have their own version of this ritual. And so they raised quite a ruckus by banging pots and pans and singing loud songs to ward off evil spirits or forces that might bring harm to their fruit trees and crops.
So this event would almost always, even depending on the region, it doesn't matter kind of where they were, the ritual would basically be the same. And it would begin with this torchlight procession, and they would proceed around the orchard with the crowd banging their pots and their pans, and they chanted songs. And there would be a wassail king and a wassail queen, and they would be adorned with all kinds of fruits and vegetables, just covered in fruits and vegetables.
Oh, and there was a master of ceremonies who always dressed all in black, and they called that person the butler. But I love this. It's interesting enough. You couldn't see the identity, so it could either be a man or a woman. So the butler would call the crowd to gather around the largest tree in the orchard.
This huge tree would have 12 small bonfires burning around it. And each one of those bonfires represented one of the 12 zodiac signs. And in one specific town, there was actually a 13th bonfire that was placed. That wasn't typical. That was just in this one town. And it was extinguished by stomping it out as soon as it was lit. Because it was called the Judas fire.
Oh, nice.
Well, so the butler would lead the congregation in songs to please the apple goddess named Pomona, and she would grant them a healthy harvest.
And there were also children were allowed at this festival, and they would find the smallest boy, and he was known as, and you might have heard this in poetry or songs or I don't know, Dickens or whatever, the Tom Tit. He was the smallest boy. They would held him up really high so that he could take bread that was soaked in cider, and he would kind of shove it onto all of the branches, these bread slices on the branches of the trees, of the apple trees, and that was for good luck.
Okay.
Just on a positive note, nothing bad ever will come to this harvest. The evil spirits need to be completely banished. Shots are fired to rid all of the land of any remaining, bad, malicious energy.
So that was kind of the end of the ritual, right? So they made sure everything was definitely rid of any evil spirits by the shot of the gun. And then once all of this has been done, the wassail bowl is passed. And each person drinks from the wassail bowl and they yell, wassail, or drink hail. And if somebody said that to you and passed you the bowl, you would take a drink and you would respond with good health or cheers.
So what we love about this is,
what's not to love about this?
There's so many things to love.
But try to narrow it down. What do you love about it?
So aside from it being a cool tradition, including zodiac signs, which I think is awesome, who doesn't love a big fire? I love fires.
People dressed up in fruit.
That's my favorite. That's what I do on the weekends. Yeah, apples. But we both love this because it's a chance for the community to get together and kind of, share in with a good spirit, a good blessing, because food rules everything, right? So
especially then, yeah.
Yes.
We also would like to tell you a little bit, just kind of specifically about the drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the drink it has a specific receptacle, 10-gallon silver or pewter bowl that was passed around. That's at this wassail night festival.
And right? What time of year is that? Is that in the fall? Is there
that is in the fall? Yes.
Okay, it's a harvest of the apples then.
Well, it's protecting. It's making sure that your harvest is good. Yes, it's protecting those apples.
Good fruit in autumn. A good autumn fruit harvest.
But there's not a specific day. Is there wassail day?
There is wassail nights, but it dates back, to 1500s, even before.
Did the Christians steal it for something?
They did.
Probably.
The Romans began the whole mulling. The mulling process with wine was Romans basically stealing spices from all of the countries as they stole countries, they stole the spices, which became the mulling, which became, but anyway, so there's this huge bowl, but on a smaller scale, in the 1800s. So this is kind of like the evolution. We kind of want to get into the evolution of where our cider comes. So it started in these giant bowls at wassail night. And as we move forward, we're kind of
getting into the wassailing like tradition as we entered winter. This is like the early 1800s, was set in like the English countryside. Women would travel from door to door in the 1800s. This is right around the Christmas season. They would offer this very light bowl of waffles to their neighbors and friends, and carrying on with this tradition of singing accompanied with like the presentation of this bowl. The women also sang songs. A kind of caroling tradition was born.
Right. So the actual caroling and that song, "Here We Come a Wassailing," yeah, that's what this comes from. The ladies bringing these bowls, these wassail bowls, from door to door, portable style.
Yes, Greg, I think you would really like that. Women showing up at your door with
a wassail
bowl.
A wassailing.
Absolutely, Karen.
So now we have kind of like the evolution, the actual what was in the wassail.
Yes, let us know.
Okay, so the original wassail.
So the original wassail had mulled wine and curdled cream, as delicious as that sounds. Roasted apples, eggs, cloves, ginger, nutmeg, sugar.
Yum, yum.
Yeah.
Would you
nice
like
and thick.
Yeah. Delicious.
Very eggnoggy.
Let's see. Okay.
I had eggnog for the first time last Christmas, and I loved it.
Did you like it?
I did.
Did you put rum in it?
Duh.
That's how we do things around here.
Okay, just making sure. Did you put nutmeg on top?
We did.
Duh.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Yeah, we did.
That's the best way.
That is the best.
Okay, so today a wassail bowl may hold warmed ale brewed with honey and apples and cider with the mulling spices that we talked about that the Romans stole from all the countries.
Gotcha.
They asked politely for.
They did not.
So we have ale and cider mixed.
Yeah, warmed ale brewed with honey and apples added to a cider that's been mulled. Basically, that's what a wassail bowl, kind of a contemporary wassail bowl, might be today. Which leads us to our modern mulled cider that we love so much.
Cider, apple cider that you can find in your produce section, and then you put some cinnamon, some allspice, some grated nutmeg, some cloves or just like clove spice, and then you'd add some brown sugar to kind of richen it up.
Or a simple syrup. I like vanilla simple syrup in it. This is all about vanilla simple syrup today.
It is.
But I do like to get weird and put cardamom simple
syrup. But cardamom, yes, and then like also maybe anise would be fun. And they're like
so you just float it in, or do you put it in a little bag? You've seen those mulled spices they sell at the store that are in the bag. You just throw it right in the cider. There's no steeping.
Throw it in, stand on a stool and
with your big wooden spoon.
Your favorite chant with the big spoon, correct?
And then you mull
by
it
the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
So you're simmering it.
Boil, and what is it?
Yes.
Boil, toil, and trouble.
Yes.
Oh
so it's just simmering, right?
Yeah,
that's
and
then
just sits there.
And don't put your liquor in it because you're gonna burn it all off.
Yeah.
So
very important. People, say it again.
Very important. Do not put your liquor in with your mulled cider. It's gonna burn off. Also, you're being a nice person because sometimes people don't want to drink alcohol. As crazy as that sounds,
we don't invite those people. I get it. Maybe your kid. Okay. Okay. So and then what type of alcohol would you put in it?
Oh, yeah. Spiced rum or bourbon.
I mean, those are kind of our go-tos.
That's what you do.
And what mixture? 1-to-1?
Just put 2 ounces. Just put 2 ounces of rum or bourbon in your mug, and then fill up there. I mean, well, I guess it depends on how big your mug is. I'm assuming just like a regular cocktail, like
2 taste.
4 ounces of cider to 2 ounces of booze.
Yeah. If you have like a 12 ounce, glass, Then you're filling it up, and then you're putting like
and you're putting 4 ounces of booze. No,
6 ounces
just
of booze.
do one at a
Wait, what?
time. Just one cocktail at a time, people.
Put your booze in, then fill your cider.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's good advice. That's good to know. Okay. So now we all have a wassailing recipe for
eggs and coddled cream.
yes.
Curdled
I think I'll go with the updated version.
Yeah. I don't miss a meal that doesn't have curdled cream.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a recipe in your book, is it? That's just something you
We just
We
wanted
do
to talk
have
about it.
another one. If you
that's just bonus for you, the listener here. So you have another cocktail for us. What do you got?
so we have the jive turkey.
Awesome.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking this is another fall type of cocktail, but also from our Cincinnati book. So it has Cincinnati roots, Ohio roots.
The Ohio Players.
Absolutely, the Ohio Players.
So yeah, they're obviously
When I was a kid,
way
back when, I used to go like stores that we used to have stores called Kmart
I remember
or whatever, or these stores, and they always had like a record section.
Mm.
And I always really liked the Ohio Players album covers.
Ah, yes, you did.
yeah, you did.
What was it? Naked women or something? What was it?
Oh, it's some sexy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. They were
Why would you go there, Karen, immediately?
They were absolutely known for their risque album covers. They pushed all the boundaries. They pushed all the buttons.
Awesome.
Yeah, I could spend the whole time while my mom was out shopping in another part of the store. I'm just looking through the Ohio Players section.
He probably still would.
I mean, how many records did they actually put out though? You're just flipping through the same image, over and over.
Record 1, 2.
Well, but you gotta flip it over, look at the back, read the
Read
notes.
the liner notes. Yeah,
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As you do.
It has good articles.
Yeah.
Yes, right. That's what he was reading. He was reading. He was looking at it for the liner notes. That's all.
Okay.
All right. Tell us about the jive turkey.
So the Ohio Players, obviously, they're from Ohio, and they kind of had a rotating cast of characters, people in and out constantly, rotating in and out of the band.
They still actually perform, some of them today. They still do. But they're a party band from Dayton, Ohio, which is like 45 minutes away from Cincinnati.
But a lot of their members were also from Cincinnati too. So, there were people from all over the tri-state area, honestly. They would hustle to get like other band members to come and play. They remained relevant for so many years, or worked really hard to remain relevant, that's for sure, because they just keep playing.
They're very hardworking party band.
Yeah. They were known for their ridiculously cool horn section, their flamboyant outfits, and ding, 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 you guessed it.
Sexy images on their album covers.
Nice.
It's a good thing I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah. They just really liked to be attentive to women,
Yes,
to
yes.
the ladies.
To the ladies.
Mhm. So the cocktail is called Jive Turkey, and it is one of their hits. So we wanted to make this cocktail a little funky and strong. We used wild turkey rye, which is a very strong.
Okay. Good.
rye.
It's a good start.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in your face. And then
Watershed Nocino Black Walnut Liqueur. So again, another local spirit. Watershed is based out of Columbus.
Yeah.
And the Nocino Black Walnut Liqueur is so delicious. Like I can drink it on the rocks with like, I don't know, maybe like a lemon twist or something.
I love
It's
it.
so perfect.
So rich in flavor, and it's like in your face.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah.
thought it'd be really good
Mm-hmm.
in this cocktail. And there's a half an ounce of it because you really don't need that
You
much
don't need that
funk. I
much.
mean, it's
Yeah.
gonna funk everything
It's gonna
up.
funk it all up.
We may want to funk it up. Why
yeah.
not?
You don't want too much funk though. Like you have to,
You
make
got to
sure-
pace yourself,
sometimes-
Greg. You got to pace
sometimes-
your funk. You got to pace it.
Sometimes, yes, sometimes the funk is too strong. So anyway, we add the 2 dashes of cardamom bitters to it.
Oh, I love cardamom.
Right?
I love cardamom.
Mhm.
I'm
so good.
pretty much obsessed with it. So, and then we added again, this is a beer cocktail.
Oh, I love Dad too.
So we use Rheingeist Dad, and so it's a holiday ale. It's got some really fun, like wintry spices to it, and we put an orange peel because all of those flavors together just screams orange. That citrus is so good with these kind of rich, like stouty flavors.
Oh, speaking of cardamom, I know you both were. I know Maya loves cardamom so much. She wanted to make sure that everybody knows a little bit about cardamom.
I mean, it's a spice made from seeds from several different plants, and it comes from the Indian subcontinent of Indonesia. I mean, it's used in a lot of Asian cooking, and I'm half Indian, so I'm obsessed with anything Indian.
So basically, how you would make this drink is you would put the 1.5 ounces of wild turkey in a mixing glass with the nocino and the bitters. Fill the glass with ice, shake it, strain it.
And then you'd strain it over like large rocks glass. So just like a really big rocks glass, not tall, kind of short. And then you would top it with your beer. Just
So that you just fill it up to the top. It doesn't mean float it.
Nope. Fill it up to the top.
top.
And what's really nice is it gets really frothy. So it's perfect for winter.
And then you drink the beer.
Yes. And then
Because you got an open can.
you drink.
True. You could get 2 drinks out of it, or you could just chug that beer.
And you could get really funky. You're going to add an orange peel, but you get real funky and try to flame it, which means just getting an orange peel, kind of just squeezing it in between your fingers, and then that citrus will come out. And as it comes out, you light it, and it bursts into fire, and it's into flames, and it's really fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What?
So,
Fun.
and you add the orange peel.
So orange juice just burst into flames?
Yes.
So yeah, so
It's the oil from the peel.
yeah, the oil pops out, and when it pops out, you light your lighter, your match. It's nice to have that match because you smell the match
I
too.
like the match.
I like
Yeah.
the match. That's my favorite.
A nice wooden match, right?
And that's like the classic way to do that. Like one of those long sticked matches. And yeah, and then you get to do that.
It's all
whole
a show.
method.
I love
It's
it.
all a show, but then it's all what you're smelling. Because
I never knew orange
it
was
just-
flammable.
Yeah.
The oil is.
You
yeah.
smell that citrus, and it changes the whole taste profile once you take
Exactly. So you want to say that again, because sometimes when people will leave off the garnish of the orange peel or whatever, it's very important we do that a lot because we don't always
Yeah,
have
we
it.
do.
But and if it says rim your glass, it's about the smell when you drink the drink too. It's not just the taste. right?
Absolutely. The first thing you taste is what you smell.
The garnish is super important.
Mhm.
That's going to change the way you taste the way you taste it, the way it interacts with your taste buds. It's very important. I'm all about garnishes.
Mhm.
We are all about garnishes.
Yes.
Yeah.
we are.
Cinnamon's flames too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen
Oh.
that too.
Yeah. So in our book, we have the Rheingeist Dad Holiday Ale, which is local. It's a red ale. It's 6%. And
It's not a crazy winter warm or anything, but it's a winter drink.
yes. And it has sorry.
That means you're right. No, it just said leave it in there. You're right. It's a winter drink.
We did it.
Yes.
It has sweet hints of caramel notes and resin and hits of citrus. So that's what's in our book. But we thought of another option featuring another Rheingeist beer, just in case you wanted to try something different and something kind of fresh and new on Rheingeist's menu for this year.
Because this is the most recent seasonal beer that they have for fall. So sometimes you're not going to be able to get that Dad, but you can get a Rheingeist crumb cake. So that's an imperial red ale with lactose, vanilla, and cinnamon. So it definitely complements the rest of the ingredients. in this cocktail.
So before we go, let's talk about one thing. Can you go over it one more time what the basic recipe is for crafting your own cocktail?
So the basic formula for a craft
This is like
cocktail,
called the golden rule, right? Or something.
the golden rule, the foundation of a cocktail.
But the golden rule meant to be broken as well, right?
All rules are meant to be broken once you know them. It is 1 part citrus, 1 part sweet, and 1 part booze. And then once you know that, you can add different things to change the flavor profile and amp it up and, just get creative.
Get crazy. Okay, so a lot of times during the podcast, we've mentioned the book that these two lovely ladies have written, and it's Rocktails, an amped up spin on mixology, Cincinnati, volume 1. So is there going to be a volume 2?
Yes. So we're in the process of writing it right now. And part of how we're funding our book is we're selling cocktail infusion kits. And each one of those cocktails will be featured in our next book. So our next book it's not local to Cincinnati. It's not local to any city, but it will be featuring all women from all genres, women from all eras, from all parts of the world.
Women female musicians is what we're talking.
Yes.
And it will include
You know what? I love a girl on a guitar.
Who doesn't? I mean, who doesn't love a girl on a guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, so if they wanted to buy any of these drinks, are they listed on your website, the different infusion kits that you have? Or how would they know how to buy them?
Yeah, so the cocktail infusion kits we're not selling them online yet.
Okay.
We have been at certain events, different street fairs. We would like to plug one that it's a nice holiday fair. It's November 26th at Music Hall in Cincinnati. It's a crafty supermarket. So we'll be selling our cocktail kits there. I mean, hopefully we'll be in such demand that we'll be able to start manufacturing them to sell on our website. But for right now, what you can buy on our website are basically our books. We have paperbacks, we have hardbacks, we have some cool vinyl coasters. We have t-shirts and tote bags. Those are kind of what we are selling online.
And all of these things would make excellent Christmas gifts.
Oh, we agree.
Especially for anyone who likes to drink, anyone who likes music, anyone who's in Cincinnati or
I saw
from
glasses
Cincinnati.
on your website too. You're still selling the glasses, the pint glasses and the rocks glasses and all that, and stickers.
Oh,
Everybody loves stickers.
Everybody loves stickers and buttons.
Stocking stuffers.
Exactly. So tell everybody what your website is.
Oh, well, Maya wanted to mention one thing about our upcoming book.
One thing that I'm really excited about, I know you guys, I don't know how excited you guys will be, but we're including a mocktail and a rocktail with booze. So
For each recipe?
Oh,
that's
excellent.
Cool.
Yeah. We want to be inclusive because a lot of
Yeah.
people, they don't need to drink. They don't want to drink, but they want.
Well, I don't need to drink, but
I
want
you
to.
know what I mean.
But they can still, but Greg, they can still be educated. That's the
I
thing.
have a lot
Yes.
of friends who don't drink, and they're
someone's going to drive.
yeah. Oh, I've got
Exactly.
plenty of friends that are driving me
Yeah.
around.
But they also like the art of making a good drink, though. I mean, why should they be left out? Why should they be
Right.
left out of having something carefully curated and delicious? So
That's true.
that was
So that's
important
excellent.
to us
Yeah.
moving
Yeah,
forward.
I think it's cool. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I agree. So what's the website where they can order all this cool stuff? That
but-
book's not out yet, but the rest of the things
But
are.
if you buy our stuff, and it helps us be able to write our next book.
Excellent.
Gives us
Where?
time.
Our
So-
website is AmericanRocktails.com. We are also on Facebook as Rocktails, an amped up spin on mixology. On Instagram, we are Rocktails Books _events. And that goes into, we don't just write books. We do small and big private parties. So we've done anything from corporate functions or weddings.
That's how I found them.
Yeah.
I attended a corporate function you guys were a part of. So
Yes. Yes, with the merge.
And
That was
we're
great.
open to any event that anybody wants some fun, creative cocktails and two very happy, enthusiastic entrepreneurs. Oh, and we also make all the cocktail menus at Hard Rock Casino, Cincinnati, downtown. You can find one of our menus at the Council Oaks Steak and Seafood Restaurant.
Awesome.
We also would like to mention that we are in the process of, and this perhaps maybe by the time this airs, your listeners might be able to find us on Patreon. And it would be
when she says might, we will be on Patreon very soon.
Okay, we will be on Patreon. That is Rocktails and Amped Up Spin on Mixology.
Okay, awesome. So we've got Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and your website. All of those were mentioned, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And one more thing before we go, I do want to mention that you can have a designer cocktail made for your party or function. These guys will talk to you and figure out how to make that happen for a price, but it's a good price. So if you're interested in that, also contact them.
rocktailsbooks@gmail.com.
Awesome. So you can do that.
There's probably a link to that on your website, right?
There is.
Well, I mean, think how cool you would be. You're having a party and you have a signature drink that was designed just for you. Okay.
And also, before we leave, we should talk about like the Heavy Hinges band, right?
I would love to talk about both.
I have a band too.
Yes.
The Perfect Children band.
All right. I have to say, it's really hard for me to play live in my band because I can't get out. But if I used to play all the time, and now I have really small, important shows that I do. And I have a really cool show that I'm doing as well that is not necessarily my band.
So, all right. So what are the names of your bands?
So
all of them. I know you have many. What are they?
So I have two bands. One is called Heavy Hinges, and I'm the singer, and I also play electric baritone ukulele. And then my other band is Minatones, like the bird, MYNAH. And it's like a 3-part harmony kind of poppy rock group. And Heavy Hinges is rock, soul, blues. And both of my bands are playing at Blink, but I guess that doesn't matter because you guys aren't going to air before that, right?
But you do play out around Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So definitely look for
both
those
of my
two bands.
bands play out a lot.
Okay.
So my band is called The Perfect Children, which I front and I write all the music. I play guitar. It's a 3-piece, drums, bass, and guitar.
So all original music.
All original music.
Both of you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
And I perform more now solo as opposed to full band. But occasionally, if all the stars align, my band will play. But I really do love to write songs.
Me too.
My main instrument is my voice. So
Me
playing
too.
solo makes me feel really great. So I am playing a couple of solo shows, opening for some pretty cool touring folks. And I also do a lot of studio and session work that's kind of behind the scenes, things that people don't see, things that you don't say, hey, come see my band for. But I like to sing backing vocals for touring bands, or right now I'm doing backing vocals and a soloist for this project that is featuring all types of music, again with the Cincinnati connection, at the Ludlow Garage, with some local, I guess almost like celebrities, kind of old school songs from the 60s through the 80s. So
old school, Greg.
Cool.
Doing a No Doubt cover band.
60s through the 80s, Karen, through the 80s.
Yep.
That's the key word there.
Do you guys have websites for your bands?
No, we don't have websites. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Heavy Hinges on Facebook and Instagram, and Minatones on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Heavy Hinges does have a website, heavyhinges.com.
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well with The Perfect Children on both. I have a Kristen Kreft music page and a YouTube page that has a lot of like a lot of the projects that kind of my discography of work that I've done. I think I actually have a Spotify playlist that I did. It's got so many songs that I've done backup vocals for. So that's kind of fun.
And both my bands are on all streaming
Yeah.
platforms, Spotify, Bandcamp, all those things.
You have a YouTube channel where you're making drinks, right?
We do.
We do.
I
Yes.
saw it on your website today.
We do
A link to
musical
that.
cocktail tutorials. Yes.
Oh my God. Do you guys sleep? What?
No, actually.
I had an hour and a half of sleep last night.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm stumbling over my words.
I cannot do that anymore.
I don't want to do it.
I can't either.
Uh,
But you know what? We go through these waves too. Like there'll be like a week where it's just like chill.
And then we go through like
before the storm.
like,
Yes.
and that was last night for me. I'm like, I'm gonna clean my house and make cocktail kits till 7:30 in the morning.
Well, ladies, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Yes.
We've
Pleasure.
learned so much and all of the things that we can reach out and contact you about. What do you think, Greg? You got lots of notes.
Yeah, I got lots of notes. If I could just read my scribble, I will be good.
Well, we know how to contact them if you have any questions.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you.
You were a pleasure to speak with, really. It was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us for Wicked Ramblings. Remember, Karen and I are not experts, but Maya and Kristen are in this case. And this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. No wagering on how to make cocktails, people. Anything else, Karen?
Please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening. Want to keep in touch? Check out our website, scaryspirits.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Scary Spirits Podcast. Find us on YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at info@scaryspirits.com. To help us grow the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You know, we really do appreciate your support. And as always, please drink responsibly.